Welcome, everybody, to Heym's Crossing the Line. Thank you for the drum roll. This is, by the way, is episode 99, or as I would call it, the great one. That was Gretzky's name.
There you go.
By the way, congratulations to Alex Ovetkin. Got his 1,000th goal. 1,000 goals. It's pretty unbelievable.
How many assists does he have?
Not a lot.
Not enough.
But he's not there to get assists. He's there to put the puck in the net.
Right.
One of the funnest guys and one of the greatest players.
Great
ever.
attitude.
I used to take Gregory when he's little at games and just boo Ovi like the whole time. That's what you do. You don't hate the guy, but you feel obliged to do that. Now, if he played for a Philadelphia team, that'd be different. Anyhow, we have Lone Daddy back from wherever he was. He doesn't tell us.
I've been around.
I think he's a CIA operative or something like that. He's off doing spy stuff. And Charles Edge, Esquire, a.k.a. the next chairman of the Federal Reserve.
So I thought about it. If you guys could have taken care of the economy on your own, you wouldn't need lawyers. So
Well, when you hire...
Shots fired early on.
Remember, it was the lawyer that was chairman of the Fed that caused all this, these problems.
when the Supreme Court starts collapsing and we have you on the panel.
I'd be perfect for that. It'd be awesome.
Yes.
It's fair. I mean, come on. Stop taking jobs away from economists.
Buy you a robe. Let's see what you look like.
I could make the robe look work, I think. I don't know.
Prove it.
Well, we'll see.
So you want to talk about the Knicks beating the Wizards yesterday?
No, we do
That
not
was
want
the
to
biggest
talk.
story in basketball in New York.
We don't want to talk about
yesterday.
the Knicks beating a team that's clearly tanking. We don't want to talk about that.
So what do you want to talk about?
We want to talk about the man, Rick Patino, and my beloved St. John's, who made it interesting, gave me a heart attack. Because my wife's like, are we going out to eat? I'm like, yeah, we're going to celebrate. And then all of a sudden, it's like, well, we'll see what happens. And then when they tied it up, and then they were fouling, and so that shows you another thing. We had like 19 fouls. They had 2, and then
Does she know to leave you alone, though?
oh yeah, she after
knows
the
to walk away.
2001 World Series, she won't come near me because she clearly cost the Yankees that. Because
Oh, because she's a jinx, not because she wants to bother you.
she stayed in the bedroom the whole time and then came out
Responsible.
in the bottom of the 9th, and I kept saying, "Please go inside. You're going to jinx the Yankees."
Honestly, I'm with Greg.
Yeah.
I believe in that stuff too.
I
So,
moved in like 5 hours, like, and and then of course she leaves right after the hit that wins the series, and then she goes away.
My
But anyway.
my partner Todd, his brother has a Yankees season ticket to Yankee.
Oh, good. I'll be
season.
expecting those soon.
So in like 06, 07, I went to like a division game too. It was like a day game during a weekday. You couldn't get anybody to go. I went. They lost. He's like, "You're a jinx. You're never coming to me to a game again."
Sure. That's the thing. Actually, my son, all the Knicks games we went to, the only one they lost was the playoff game against Detroit we went to last year.
Right.
So anyhow, the amazing thing about St. John's, going back to the Big East tournament, the last 5 games, they've trailed a total of 38 seconds.
Amazing.
I mean, they've been steamrolling, and they were steamrolling Kansas, and then they forgot to guard the layup.
How far did they go ahead? At some point, they were up 14.
14, I think, or 15 at one point, and it just
the
went
second half,
south.
right?
Yeah, it just went south from there. There was 9 at the half. You know, St. John should have been up by 20 at the half because they had so many open. Like now, those watching at home going, I would have hit those shots. I mean, wide open, like nobody, no.
I will say though, it's a great lesson for all of us. If you play hard and work hard, good things can certainly happen. And 5 minutes into that game, I'm with my father watching, and it was just very obvious that St. John's wanted the game more. They wanted the game more than Kansas. And that comes from Patino, but the makeup of these guys, this team, they're so likable. Like they're just really giving everything to this game. And it was fun to watch.
You like the smaller programs also coming up against a team like Kansas, who just feels like they steamroll everybody. What was the crowd like? I didn't get to pay attention to that.
No, there were a lot of St. John's. If you watch the video of Darling hitting a layup,
There were cutaways of like a lot.
There are
a lot of red.
and somebody had a camera right there. Like the team actually fell into the crowd, and it was
awesome.
it was a great moment considering how poorly he's been shooting. It was nice to see that. But like you said, Scott, their defense is so good that they can shoot horrifically, which they did. But when you don't even let a team inbound the ball, I mean, it was funny. It looked like a peewee game or something like that. You couldn't get the ball in.
Yeah.
And it was 2 Hall of Fame coaches, great matchup. And now it's on to Duke. Now, the last 2 times I think we've played Duke in the NCAAs, I was there because I was in the band. Mm-hmm. We
Were you
lost.
really?
We lost in '91 in Atlanta.
What's funny about that?
Yeah, what's so funny? It paid for half my college, buddy.
I pictured it for a second. That's why.
And I had a front row
Conceptually,
seat.
It's not funny.
I had a front row seat for great college
That is
basketball
very cool,
games.
though. That is very
And
cool.
Duke went on to win the championship that year.
No, 90. No,
91.
first one was 90. 91, yeah, they beat us. We knocked off Ohio State, who was the 1 seed in the region. We destroyed them.
What was your seed? Where were you seated?
4. And I think it was Duke played UConn, if I remember correctly. So Duke was like, yeah, beat Ohio State for us. And then we played Duke, and within 5 minutes, our point guards got 3 fouls, and we're just being lit up. It was just, yeah, we ran out of steam, and Duke was just that great. I mean, that is as good as college basketball.
A 40-minute game, 5 fouls. Things can happen really, really quickly. So
Well,
I think
try to guard Bobby
officiating-
Hurley in his prime. Like, good luck with that.
No, but I'm looking ahead to the Duke game on Friday. Like the officiating is going to be so
and the
important.
officiating was terrible yesterday. And I'm not just saying that because St. John's has only got host on the bad calls, but this should be the best of the best right now. I mean, there's no excuse to be missing calls. That goaltending, they clearly hit the backboard.
That was terrible.
I mean,
That was absolutely
there's 3 of you. How do you miss it?
Yeah, that was bad.
I mean, come on.
Patino said, though, that the hardest game of the tournament is the second game because you only have 1 day to prepare, right?
Yeah.
Going into the tournament, you have a couple days. You can watch some film, sort of get a feel for them. And then you turn around in 1 day, and now they're not playing until Friday again. So you have
Friday at
4 or 5 days.
7:15. I know that because I looked, and I have a gig at 7 o'clock Friday night. So
Not anymore.
I'll be looking more at the TV than my music.
Greg called in sick.
So Nikki, good luck. You're on your own because I'm going to be
She's going to go a cappella.
Experience.
It'd just be the Nick. Well, she'd probably rename it that at some point anyway. So anyway, getting back to
Well, congratulations to Greg.
I
This
take
is
all
has
the
to
credit.
be-
Good job. Good
Greg's
job.
teams do not historically do very well, so this is
except the Yankees.
I thought he would take his hat and knock your hats off the table, but I guess
No.
the marketing money is still
I don't want
important.
to.
I don't
wanna
become
make sure-
I don't become a sore winner until
It's
we've
in
actually
frame.
won
I see you win
something.
something.
But so yeah, this episode, which means next week will be our 100th episode and extravaganza, where we will have some special guests, and we finally may see some of the crew on camera. Lena's agreed to
We
do
are
it.
in
We're gonna have to force Ray to
negotiations
do
with
it.
the crew
Ray
in here.
wants to stay the mystery man.
Well, I know how I can get Ray to unveil himself on the
I don't
show.
want to disappoint any fans.
We
The
promise
expectations
How could you?
Wow.
How could you disappoint anyone?
we promise lunch at Canaletto,
Oh.
and then he'll
I'll shave.
and Sharpace. All right, so yeah, be sure not to. But finish watching this week's, and then next week's will be a lot.
I'm
of fun.
picturing 3 big balloons saying 100 here. Is that happening? Is someone setting that up or no?
It's not in the budget.
No?
Because we don't have a budget. That's
feel
why
like
it
we
can't be in there. If we had one, it might be.
Gonna have bring out your guitar by Grand Central with a little cup. Let's see if we can raise some money.
Yeah, we'll play for balloons. All right. Well, we'll get started with the latest in the economics world right after these messages from these guys.
Do you have a big move coming up? I'm Scott Nadler with Cross Country Mortgage, and I've got the loan to match your dream home. Whether it's your first or your 5th, I'll make the process quick and easy. Call me today. Let's make it happen.
Sedge & Zuckerman is a boutique residential law firm guiding you and your clients every step of the way with a solution-oriented approach. Make sure to work with a deal maker and not a deal breaker. Contact us today at sznylaw.com.
All right, we are back, and no more college basketball talk, at least for the next 5 minutes. So the Fed had a meeting last week, didn't touch rates. We all knew that, right? But what they did release was a summary of economic projections, which gives them an idea of not just where rates are going. You hear the dot plot, that's what they're talking about. But they also have forecasts for economic growth, inflation, unemployment. So basically, to sum it up, they expect decent economic growth, about 2.4% this year. Unemployment rate, they have it staying where it is now, which is 4.4%. They raised their core inflation forecast for this year to be 2.7 instead of 2.5. And their dot plot showed 1 rate cut this year.
Right.
Now, I agree with most of that. How do you feel about it so far? You think the projections make sense?
I would love to go back in time
And see how often they're right?
Exactly. I mean, we're as not just the Fed. I mean, the Fed is on a level on its own. Human beings in general are not great at predicting anything. Right. And there's so many, we're in a global economy. There are so many variables and different things that we can't even think to account for right now. With that being said, yes, I think one rate cut probably makes sense for this year. I think from the beginning we anticipated that there wasn't going to be too much movement. With that being said, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, look, I've been quick to criticize the Fed, right? And lawyers at the Fed and lawyers in general. But, they're in a tough spot now, Shar, because if you look, core inflation, the latest PCE number we got, which was for January, this is what really sucks about this whole thing is, the BLS is caught up. So the CPI and PPI are coming out. And by the way, PPI was much hotter than expected. Mm-hmm. Luckily, nobody pays a lot of attention to it. But
the markets did a little bit. Then they moved on to the war and other things. But, they now you could say, well, can't you make as good a case for a rate hike? Because in January, the core PCE was up 3.1% year over year. That's over 1% higher than what the Fed wants it. You have the spike in oil prices because of the war in Iran, which may be getting better. There was some decent news today. So that's a rate hike. Does that logic work for you? Or are you like, no, we can't be hiking rates?
No. So my question really on all this is how much of this is data driven? How much of it is the uncertainty of the war, and you don't know how that's going to impact future data?
Well, I think the thing is we can all agree that most of us thought that inflation would be lower by now. And a lot of it was like, well, the housing number is really crazy, and that's what's keeping it elevated. And once that starts to work out, which you remember, CPI was good. Everybody was happy with the February number. But having PCE be a month behind is the problem because that's the definitive answer on all this. So I would say that a lot of it is data-driven, but when you have a war going on, like that's going to be in the back of people's mind because it's not going to raise it right now. I mean, it will raise it up over time. We talked about how tariffs don't cause widespread inflation, but high oil prices do because everything we buy has got to be trucked, flown or put on a boat. Like everything's got to travel and it requires oil.
You also alluded to this in the first segment that Powell's in charge, right? And Powell's legacy is on the line right now, right? His term is up very, very soon. Under Powell's watch, inflation ran to a 40-year high, right? So I think the Fed has this dual mandate of maximum employment, low inflation. In his comments, he said that this last report where we showed negative 92,000 jobs being created, we don't want to, focus too much on just one report. What about all of 2025?
Well, remember, we joked a couple weeks ago, every other month has been negative.
Right.
It's been positive, negative, positive,
right.
negative, positive.
So his comments make you think that there's one report that was really bad. Let's see if there are other. Literally, the last 12 months, the total job growth in 2025 was just about 15,000 jobs a month. It's nothing. Right. So, his focus, his comments are leading you to believe his main focus, and he has one more meeting, and then he's out, is not to let inflation run. Whether that's something that they actually see happening or it's just him wanting to cover himself, because inflation running is way worse than employment being in a terrible spot.
Right. People don't remember the jobs; they remember the inflation.
They feel it.
It sticks around a lot longer too. Right. Hiring can turn around, but I think that they, like you said, they don't want to be known as the chairman that kept inflation too high for too long and didn't react quick enough. He's staying on the Board of Governors at least until these investigations are done. And look, confirming Kevin Warsh may be a problem. Mm-hmm. Some people have said they're not going to do it. So
wasn't that the subplot also with some of his comments the last couple of weeks of saying, I know my term is over, but I may not be going anywhere?
Well, you could look at it both ways, I guess, that he knew he was going to stay on because he has the right to do that as a governor. But as chairperson, I think that'll get worked out. But so we talked about the negative side of things, that inflation is too high, but I'm saying that their next move should be a cut because of the lack of job growth. I mean, ADP's numbers for the last 4 weeks have been averaging about 9,000 jobs a week. That's not going to do anything. Unemployment's low because people aren't laying people off, but if you're looking for a job, that's where you see this.
And we're starting to hear that, like firsthand accounts from clients that we're talking to who are unsure about what's going to happen with their current job.
Right.
And ones who are not employed right now are having a hard time. Because for us, as long as we have a contract, an employment contract that shows what their job title is and their salary, we can start the process. So if someone gives me an employment contract says they're going to start on May 1st, we can start the actual process just with that alone. But we have clients that are unemployed who are expecting to have a job by now who don't.
Well, it's difficult. Go ahead, say your catchphrase.
I was thinking, I don't want to say it.
Okay. No hire,
But
no
it sounds
fire.
like they haven't been hired or fired, right?
You didn't say it before we went on air. Usually that's just warm up. Most people are like me.
He was in the
me.
bathroom in front of the mirror, fixing his hair and
Yes.
just,
His hair, meaning
Wow.
the one
Wow,
hair that's
Scott.
on his head that I can see in the light. So, all right, so I would say a rate cut. I'd say probably the last quarter of the year because not going to do anything before May. There isn't a May meeting, so that would be June. And the reason I think they should wait till the end of the year is if I was chairman of the Fed, me, not you, Shar, I would want to take a couple of months and try to let things normalize. They've been monkeying with rates too much, and they've been making mistakes with it. So let's try to get and see if inflation comes down a little bit.
Let's just say, though, that hypothetically speaking, the war ends in 2 weeks. And you see oil prices go from $100 a barrel back down to 90, 85, and it starts to go down.
But does another rule take effect where those oil prices will go down a heck of a lot slower than they went up?
Yeah, we need to revisit that calculation and see if it applies to oil prices.
But the thing too about hiking rates, and we saw that, Paul Volcker did this on purpose, you can cause a recession. You have no hiring going on.
Right.
So even though you may say, inflation's not at 9% like it was just 4 years ago or 5 years ago. Now first of all, 2% is a made up number. It's not like a historical number that everybody agrees is the right spot for it. It's just like, we'd like it to be 2%.
How long has that been the number for?
A couple of years.
Yeah.
What
was it before that?
They didn't have. Remember
wasn't even
the
a
Fed.
thing?
The Fed used to
Was
not
it
say.
Yellen? Who's what's
Could have
it,
been Yellen, or I don't know if it
I
goes
thought-
back to Bernanke.
Okay.
See, I didn't do enough research this week. I had a show prep at some point.
Watching too much sports.
No, but remember the Fed, like even going to the Greenspan era, they said nothing. Like you didn't have these press conferences where they scared the press corps to death with some of the stuff they were saying.
He hesitated when he said rate cut.
It's.
So what would be? Let's say this was your job interview, and you were going to start in May. What's your pitch? Like, what are you doing to help employment? How are you?
I'm going to cut rates. I'm not going to do it now. And your point about the war on oil, PC was higher than they wanted before the war.
Yeah.
And again, I could say I want St. John's to run the table and win. It doesn't mean it's going to happen.
Right.
And that's why they're always data dependent. I don't think we're getting any blow away jobs reports. I think we'll be blown away if they're positive. I think that's how low the bar is. And it's like, remember too, we had a very weak fourth quarter because of a record government shutdown. How is the first quarter going to look? We'll see. Because some of this data is still lagging big time. We're not getting data on retail sales. We're not getting the PCE data. Every week I get an email from, a government agency giving the new schedule of releases. It's pretty depressing.
Now, are the PPI numbers to you, would that suggest that, so the producer price index inflation is higher, and CPI has been relatively tame.
Yes.
So does that mean that we should expect those prices to be increased for consumers? That means producers aren't increasing the prices for consumers, but if that continues to go up, they need to pass that down.
Obviously, just
would
like
expect that.
a landlord passes his or her
Increases
costs
over
onto
to-
the
right.
tenants, that's the next logical step.
That'll be interesting to.
It's funny though,
see there.
because for so much of this, this last couple of years, PPI was running much lower than CPI, and it didn't bring CPI down because of the housing component would probably be the argument there. But, I mean, it's 1 month. Let's chill out a bit.
Also, one thing that we've talked about a lot is the methodology that's used for this. Like even in the article, one of the articles that we were all reading talked about the management fees that are incorporated into this. So I'm curious to see in the next 12 months or so if Warsh actually is confirmed, if they change the metrics that they're using to calculate these numbers, because it's really outdated.
Well, you got to look at, when you're talking about pricing, you have to look at services and goods separately. Because remember, the tariffs only pertain to goods. And then you look in a lot of months, the majority of the inflation is coming from the services side of things.
Exactly.
You know, so you would expect that eventually my costs go up, you're paying for it. Although retail sales have not been good. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But, you know, this dual mandate thing is rough. They can't do one thing. We're asking them to do two things, Shar. I mean, come on. Can you straighten that out? You speak lawyerese. Call up Powell. Explain it to him.
I'll talk to him at the next meeting.
That's what I'm talking about. So now, many foolish, uneducated economists or wannabes are out there.
Wow, I've never
using
heard
a word
calling
that
them
gets
out.
used
Bold.
way too much, and that is stagflation. You know, it's funny because stagflation is basically when you still have high inflation, but the economy is not growing so well, right? If you have high inflation, the economy is growing at rocket speed, well, that makes sense. Stagflation stinks because people are paying more, they're not seeing raises, they're worried about their jobs. But there's three components to stagflation. They always forget the third one. So slow growth, yes.
We have.
Check, right? High inflation, kind of. I'm not going to call 3.1 high. I'm going to say higher than we want. High, we know what high looks like. We had it for the last 4 years. But the third one is high unemployment. And at 4.4, that ain't high.
And that's going down.
Maybe they're high. Maybe this is the problem why they're so wrong. What do you say about this, Sean?
I read
Can
a
we
great
sue
article.
and fine people for saying stagflation?
Great article on Friday called "The Line." And that talked
That
about
guy
this
knows what he's
very
talking about.
much.
That guy knows. You
And,
can subscribe at the VHS website.
So who are these people saying that we are at stagflation?
These
'Cause
uneducated
based on-
economists who are out there.
More specifically, who are you talking about?
I'm not going to name names because I don't read the articles that thoroughly.
Right.
But you see it.
But
It's all.
are we at risk of getting there? Are we going that direction?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I mean, it would take. At what point, we always argue, what's the natural unemployment rate? Like, what should it be in a healthy economy? When I was in college, as I got reminded
In the 20s?
by the waitress that was serving me last night, she was born the year I graduated college. So that made me feel real old. We had this thing called the Phillips curve, which showed the relationship between economic growth, basically, and unemployment rate and inflation.
Okay. Just to be clear, you weren't saying this to the waitress.
No, I was not talking about the Phillips curve.
Okay.
Hey, Danielle.
That's his rap.
I'm like, hey, I can think of so many jokes.
His
you
wife,
can
his
make.
wife is like 30 years. He still has no game.
She can't say that. I got her.
Right? It's 30 years on Friday, you said?
28.
28.
It's
years.
28 years on the 28th.
Oh,
So that's supposed to mean
congratulations.
something. But
Oh, your gold. Oh, the gold. No,
you were the one talking about this.
no, I was not. Morgan was talking
Morgan.
about
Oh, that's
it.
right.
Anyway, go
Well,
ahead.
see, Morgan has laryngitis. Sorry, Morgan. Hope you feel better.
Aw.
What were we talking about? Oh, so
The Phillips curve.
Well, and that 6% was like what you looked for. Like if unemployment got below 6 or 5%, then you would expect inflation to pick up because wages would have to go up. But then we hit record lows of unemployment, and we didn't see any inflation. Remember those years? We remember them fondly. We wish they were back, just like the 3% mortgages.
Exactly.
But that's not the case.
We do also live at a time where, like, think about that friend that you have or had in the past where they catastrophize everything. Like, everything is a big deal.
Is that a word?
I just made it a
It
word.
is now.
Can we check that, Lena, if that's catastrophize? Is that like accessorizing?
Where, someone will go on, like, one bad date and they'll say like all guys or all girls are terrible. Like they'll just paint a broad picture. Like that's kind of the way the news is today, where it's like one thing happens. I mean, what happened in the markets on Thursday and Friday, based on projections, was wild. We're seeing these massive swings one way or another because these really catchy, vibrant headlines are everywhere, and everyone's a journalist. Everyone has access to all the information that's out there, and it's causing these effects in the market. And I think, to your point, which you've said multiple times already, let's wait and see. Let's get a couple more reports in. Let's see
when
where
you
things are
know they're
going.
not going to touch rates, then what's the story? Oh, let's look at the economic projections. Let's dissect the press
Every
conference.
word that Powell says. He didn't say this line last time. He said it this time.
I don't know how they can listen to. I don't listen to press. You ever try to listen to that guy talk?
If you liked him more, you'd listen to him.
No.
No.
If he was funny, I'd listen. Like I've said a million times.
You don't want this guy to be funny.
I'd be
I don't need somebody
joke.
funny at that job.
Ray and Lena would be watching the press conference if I was chairman of the Fed. Because at first they go, "Hey, I know that guy. I knew him when he was on the podcast."
Yeah.
But this is the problem.
He's
and
going to start his press conferences with, have you guys heard the one about the priest and the rabbi walking?
By the way, you're talking about the people going on one date and characterizing.
Catastrophizing.
What happened to our dating advice segment? What happened with your friend?
We got to bring that
dated
back.
Since?
Yeah,
Or
you know what? I'm
did
going to
we
need to check in with her.
We
I'll
gotta
have to
check
get back to you.
Bring her on for the 100th
100th
episode. Let's go.
Only if she has a date, because I don't want her saying we ruined her love life.
But it's not just the bad side; it's also the good side that they sensationalize in the headlines. Rates had dropped under 6 for a short period of time, and I remember they were at 5.99. That's what the article said, but the headline said under 6. And we just spent all this time getting people used to rates in the low 6s, and everybody who was buying a house saw this article and called and said, no, it should be under 6.
100%.
We're like, well, you're at 6 1/8. They're at 5.99. What are we doing here? And there it is.
They're fixated on the wrong thing.
Yeah.
They should be fixated on this show, and we'll tell them what to do. But we gotta have some sort of indemnification in case somebody gets really mad at us.
Sign here, please.
Yes. All right. So we're going to move on to rates and let Nadler do the heavy lifting in the second segment of the show. So we'll be right back.
It's not the third segment.
Looking to stage a property but on a tight budget and timeline? Stage with Stage and Fold. Stylish, lightweight, foldable, 3D printed cardboard furniture that looks real. Quick delivery and easy assembly. Staging starts at just $199 a month per room, and setup takes less than 30 minutes. Contact us today to stage smarter, sell faster, save thousands with Stage and Fold.
This beautiful set here at Studio 1873 is brought to you by the Everset. The Everset provides full-service staging and furniture rental solutions in the New York area. For more information, please visit us at staging.theeverset.com or email us at staging@theeverset.com to request a free proposal.
All right, and we are back for our third segment. Excuse me, I was corrected. I'm an economist. You expect me to be able to count?
You have me on retainer. What am I going to do? Not correct you?
Well,
We get paid per segment.
Yes, sure.
Yeah. The joke was we got paid. It wasn't the per segment part. What movie is that? You guys are getting paid? There's a movie.
All right, so you talk about rates in the low 6. I guess they're still kind of in the low 6s. A year ago, they were basically at 6 2/3. So people should just be happy, right?
Clients understand what's happening. You know, we spoke to a lot of clients on Thursday and Friday, and where we started and where things are now, things have certainly shifted if their rate was not locked in. And there's many reasons as to why a rate is not locked in. I think someone in my position, real estate agents also, Shar as well, is just setting realistic expectations with clients. I know colleagues of mine, maybe not necessarily current colleagues, but over the years, I know people who will not call a client on a day where things are rising, just thinking, oh, they're going to come back. And then maybe they don't come back during the time where a client needs to lock in their rate to close. And then you're in a terrible situation where a client is signing disclosure documents that state my projected rate is 5.875. and then 4 weeks later it's 6.5%, and you had no conversation with the client, that's a situation where you can't sleep at night. Like, I'm praying that I wake up the next day and rates are just lower. So immediately when something like this happens, you need to rip it off like a Band-Aid. I need to call the clients and have a conversation. And I can tell you, every single call that I had with a client whose rate was not locked, whose rate was now higher as a result of it, understood. Because these are conversations that we have up front to say, do you want to lock in your rate now? You're now under contract. Here's our first eligible day to lock in a rate. Do you want to do it? Yes or no? Here's what we're seeing. What do you think? And then obviously timing plays such a big role. In New York, we deal with a lot of co-ops, and we're always at the mercy of the co-op's timing.
Right.
You know? So if we're locking in a rate for 60 or 90 days, you may not close in that time frame, and extension fees can be exorbitant. We just talked about the uncertain. How can we predict things of what's going to happen in 60 to 90 days? Whereas in most markets, I'll talk to colleagues of mine in Maryland or Florida, they're closing their loan in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Right? So up front, they can lock in their rate. The odds of something changing so drastically in a 3-week period is not so high.
But isn't the lawyers the reason it takes so long? Is that not true?
No, definitely
You got a
not the
comment on-
lawyers. We're the ones who move it along as best we can.
You're the deal maker,
Not the deal breaker.
By the way,
It's-
did you hear what I called you last? Oh, that's right. You had, when I called you the heartbreaker.
Oh, yeah.
So, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
He's got the beard back, by the way. I guess his fan mail was telling him,
Yeah.
you know, he's not loan daddy without the scruffiness.
Don't fear the beard.
Oh, I'm sorry. We were
but I
insulting
have-
lawyers. Sean, go ahead.
But I have a client who's going through that right now. They just signed a contract with the BHS agent, actually.
Yes.
And they're talking to a lender. It's a large loan, so even the smallest rate deviations will affect their payment. But they're not closing till the end of July because the seller can't get out.
Right.
You know, that's about 120 days without counting. It's about 120 days, a little bit less actually. And he's working with a lender right now who doesn't offer a rate lock that long, but the rate that they are offering is cheaper than another lender he spoke to that does give you the 120-day rate. So now he's trying to do the math of, am I better to play the market, not pay extension fees, and sort of just see what happens, or the other way around, sort of lock in. And that was a conversation on Friday, and all of a sudden on Sunday we hear from the administration, we're going to put a pause on the war for 5 days, which means oil prices may spike down again, which means rates may spike down. And then now he's like, well, what happens after the 5 days? Do I lock in the 5 days? So it's a lot of information that they need to navigate. And I always tell people you have to, and you sort of say this also, what are you going to be more upset about?
Yeah.
I say it much more eloquently.
Yeah, in a legalese no one can understand. What would be your preferred outcome based on the set of circumstances as they exist today? And I'm not guaranteeing anything's going to
You
last.
could be a lawyer.
See, we just say, we kind of trademark the phrase on the other hand. There's the old joke of, I think it was Harry Truman saying, someone get me a one-arm economist so he can't say on the other hand all the time.
Very smart. Very smart.
Yeah, but we would just say, just get me a lawyer because you're all the same.
You're all the same. But what I tell people is you have to know you have to know your personality, right? Are you the type of person who likes to gamble and you're okay losing and you're okay winning? Or are you the type of person who needs to budget? You know what you're locking yourself into. You have to understand how your spouse is as well. And a lot of that is not a legal decision. It's not you. Gather the information. You have the facts. Your expectations have been managed, and decide what's best for you, because no client is the same.
Reminding clients also what you said earlier is the fact that rates were higher 6 months ago, a year ago, right? So yes, maybe they went up in the last week or 2 weeks since our last conversation, but taking a step back and looking at where things were in November and October and September, they're lower now. So overall, you are winning there.
And very often, I feel like I have to remind
Are you winning like Charlie Sheen, or are you just winning?
No one can win quite like
Do
Charlie
you have
Sheen.
tiger blood or
The
not?
fact that he's still alive shows that he's an alien. I mean,
But there you go.
see, now you're speechless.
Thank
It's
you.
okay.
Thank you.
So you
Thank
talk
you.
about,
Thank
you know, this pause and maybe an end to the war, sort of in sight, although, you know,
Well,
believe
it's just a
when it
pause
happens.
right now for 5 days.
Yeah.
So, and I even heard that might not have been as accurate as reported.
Well, we'll see. I was watching a newscast, and the administration called the anchor and actually verified that was true. Yeah, it was kind of interesting.
Live?
Yeah. Well, no, the person was off camera and then
okay.
said that they had been on the phone with the top dog, so to speak.
That's
and
awesome.
Got it from the horse's mouth. I don't know how many more references I can use without running afoul of certain rules. Right. All right, so
They called Bess, basically.
getting the ending the war would certainly help mortgage rates, and also when we're looking to borrow, because we have to borrow everything, $200 billion to fund the war. That's also going to bring mortgage rates up because it's going to lower our credit rating, which is going to make 10-year Treasury yields go up. But Fannie and Freddie are trying to come to the rescue here. I haven't seen actual numbers on this yet. Maybe you have, but they want them out there buying these mortgages.
Yeah.
Because the more demand, the price goes down, right? So this could help bring mortgage rates down.
100%. Yeah. And it's like, imagine you run a restaurant and the amount of customers coming to your restaurant is low. If you're the owner, you could start buying meals or just inviting all your friends and family to fill up the seats or stand outside so it looks like there's a big line. It's basically what they're doing here. They're going to start buying pools of mortgage-backed securities, which is going to add liquidity into the mortgage market, which, to your point, bring the price up and bring rates down. So that's that coupled with regulations being changed. And
banks are going to...
The reserve requirements are being
lessened.
lessened.
The capital requirements are going to be lowered.
Exactly.
Like
so I think those two things together, if there's an end to this war relatively soon, within the next, 45 to 60 days.
This podcast is over.
Hopefully, you will start to see rates start to revert back. But as we always say, there's a cost of waiting. Yeah. So clients who are on the fence saying, hey, we think we're following all this really closely. We think rates are eventually going to come down. Right. So, that could drive home prices up as well, especially going into a spring season. But I think that is a big story that doesn't get enough coverage.
Is this a sure thing, or they're just talking about
no,
it?
No, they're placing large bids. That was the headline. And this was talked about a while ago. The administration has been really focused on getting the 10-year down to get mortgage rates down because it's if you want to.
The Treasury Secretary has been talking about this for almost a year at this point.
Yeah, because everybody, as we always say, is too fixated on the federal funds rate, which is the rate the Fed either raises or lowers.
Remind our listeners, does that impact mortgage rates or not?
Absolutely not. Not directly.
Okay.
Right. The most movement you'll ever see is when it has the opposite effect. Because if like a situation right now, if we cut 50 basis points, 0.5%, you'd see a spike in mortgage rates because that raises the prospects for inflation down the road.
Right.
It's
Too
always
much
forward
money
looking.
chasing not enough goods, right? And that's the rub there. That's why we always warn people, because if you have clients, and I know you guys probably do this all the time, say, well, the Fed's when Warsh gets in, he's gonna cut rates. I'm gonna buy then because mortgages will be lower, and you have to say, well, not really under the Fed's control, because if we do have to borrow hundreds of billions of dollars to fund this war, and we still don't have budgets for part of our government agencies. We're having this terrible waits at airports now, and I'm flying at the end of May. I better get that stuff done.
Flying in a couple of weeks with the baby.
My son, when he flew back last week to Buffalo, he had no problem at JFK. Some apparently Atlanta is not an airport you want to be in.
Hub. That's a big international.
Well, I think it's like the second biggest airport, and it's funny because
busiest. I don't know about biggest.
Yeah,
busiest.
I think it's busiest.
Busiest. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, our airports are busy. They're not particularly big.
But there's only one that's the second busiest, though, and I think that's it.
Okay. Lawyers. When do I nobody likes you?
You got it.
Wait, did his check clear? Now I like him.
Oh, you're booing him. You're booing him. Okay.
Oh, he's a wannabe hippie there dressed in black, and he's siding with the lawyers? Come on. I'm the voice of the average person, Ray. Come on.
Protecting the sponsors.
Okay.
But I think there's a heightened
We don't want him to be a
sensitivity.
deal breaker on the sponsorship.
There's a heightened sensitivity, though, to using the word mortgage-backed securities. So who's going to be watching that to make sure we don't have an issue there again?
Well, yeah, some things we were just talking about make it sound like, less capital in banks. But as long as Fannie and Freddie, the problem during the financial crisis was a lot of us are like, wait, why do Fannie and Freddie now have to be owned by the government? if they were only buying conforming mortgages. Oh, wait, they weren't only buying conforming mortgages. And like, I never heard the term Alt-A mortgage. Alt-A is something you hit on your keyboard, you know?
Right.
That's when you want to select all, right? I think we were all ill-informed on this stuff. But now you want to get the housing market going, there isn't a lot more they can do. And it's funny, we talk about supply. One of the interesting bits that came out last week was new home sales are tanking. Nobody is buying new homes. The month supply is over 9 months now of that. And, you know, the war came at a time when the housing market was starting to get momentum. Pending home sales, which are based on contracts, were up in February.
Right.
So things like, wow, we're getting some momentum, we'll get some more inventory, and we'll be off to the races. And now it's like, oh, no, wait. Now we were below 6. Now we're you know, almost touching 6.25.
Going back to your question, though, on the mortgage-backed securities, back during the financial crisis, the quality of the loans that were in there were terrible, right? You had clients who were getting approved for mortgages who had really low credit scores, no income, assets.
101% financing.
I can tell you the underwriting guidelines have not softened up at all at any point in the last, you know, really since then, right? It's very, very similar. To get a client from contract or their first conversation to closing, it's a process, you know, that we have to go through. And, you know, we're still coming off the heels of COVID, where you have clients who may have started businesses, who maybe have multiple streams of income coming in, and making sure that we can get someone approved, you know, requires a lot of upfront work. Also, occupancy, how someone uses a specific home. I have a client right now who, a friend of mine, calls me. He's renting on Park Avenue with his wife, and he owns 3 other investment properties. And he says, we're buying a home in Newark, New Jersey, a 3-family home. We want to put 5% down. So you can only put 5% down if it's your primary home. So he says, we're going to move to Newark. It's going to be our primary home.
From Park Avenue.
You're going to move from Park Avenue
the murder
to Newark.
Capital.
And it's a 3-family home, and that's going to be, he's like, oh, yeah. I'm like, no, you're not. I'm like, so this would never pass the sniff test by going through underwriting. Right. He's like, I'll just talk to another lender. I'm like, if another lender does this, it's mortgage fraud. Right. But if you're comfortable
doing that. Wasn't this just
a
big thing a couple of months ago involving a Federal Reserve governor and some other important people?
It certainly was. But I just say all that to say this, that the guidelines are still in play. So the fact that these mortgage-backed securities are still not to the extent that they were back then as far as the volume, but the quality of the loans as of right now are still higher quality.
Well, it was also the misleading thing. You know, remember Enron, right? Enron at one point was one of the largest companies in the world.
Of course.
They duped their accounting firm basically by wining and dining them to overlook all of the dirty deals they were doing. And now neither firm exists anymore.
That was one of the best documentaries. I think, what was that called? Was it called like The Smartest Guys
in the Room?
Was that it?
I don't know. No, that was a financial crisis.
Something like that. It's an amazing. The Enron documentary was
the
was
point
incredible.
is, so what happened in the financial crisis, and this is really shown in Too Big to Fail when they go to Moody's about these ratings and they can't understand tranches, right? It's basically, oh, these are all good mortgages. And you find out like half of them are junk.
You slip this one in the
It's
middle.
like Lena's going to make lasagna and you go, is it healthy? And she's like, well, yeah, there's tomatoes in it. And she leaves out like all the terrible things that are in there.
There's milk.
It's like there's a pound of sugar in it or whatever you put in there. It's like those ingredients they put at the end of the list when they've run out of the things that you...
Very specific example. Is there something you want to tell us about
No, we
Lena's lasagna?
We don't get any lasagna from Lena. Maybe you want to make a batch for the 100th episode.
Requests for lasagna.
and we'll have some nice wine with it, and that'll go well with the scotch that we'll be drinking. And and then
Am I bringing scotch glasses next week, or are we drinking out of this?
We have nice glasses. Yeah, we do.
Are they branded though?
They'll be branded with scotch when we put it in there, for sure. And maybe get him to sip, or we get him a sippy cup since he's young. Are you 21? We gotta ask for his ID.
Maybe that's why he's growing the beard so he looks 21 next week.
Oh, you gotta put a little more gray in it.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm trying. Working on
that Just for Men thing that Clyde Frazier's always
Just
talking
for
about.
men.
No play from Mr. Gray. Come on, it's like the best commercial. It's got Clyde in it. All right. Well, I think that's it. There was another article that was interesting because it comes out every year. I don't have a lot to say about it. I doubt you guys will either. Realtor.com picks the best week to sell each year. Now, this is not uniform for all markets, and the average of all the markets is April 12th through the 18th. Because, quote, it's expected to have the ideal balance of housing market conditions that favor home sellers. Duh. More so than any other week of the year.
This is to list your apartment, your house, or
to
apartment?
sell it, yeah. So get ready now because it's going to take some time. You got to stage it maybe, and all that stuff. Find another place to live. But they look at trends going back to 2018, skipping COVID, and calculate a best time to sell score for each week of the year based on a combination of housing metrics, which aren't really surprising: active listings, new listings, prices, days on market, stuff like that. So
I'd love to hear what our listeners, the agents that listen to the show, think about that.
Well, they ever say, "Well, that's not my market. That's not the."
Okay.
Anytime's the best time to sell.
If you're an accomplished agent or you're a competent agent, even
Doing business no matter what.
Yeah, if you price it correctly, you market it correctly, you can figure out how to sell it.
Listen, we're going into the spring market soon. It's one of these weeks. It's probably the ideal time to start looking.
Well, it
at
doesn't
that
feel like
market.
spring when I go to work this morning. It's 40 degrees and raining. That was not fun.
Man, the fluctuations with the rates,
Friday was
fluctuations with
60.
the weather. It's they are all over the place.
Saturday was so nice. Nicest walk in the park right by my house. It was really therapeutic.
Yeah.
Coming down from the St. John's win the night before and then worrying about the Kansas game.
I was actually walking with my wife and baby on Sunday, yesterday, before the wedding. We were walking around and we drove by the building. I was like, honey, this is where we film the podcast. She goes, oh my God, that's great. Do you mind if I come in and watch you guys film an episode?
Yeah, let's do it. Bring the
Are we
baby.
down? Oh, I went
Bring
the other
the
way.
baby.
I went the other way. I was like, no, it's very technical. Ray and Lena.
The views of
security clearance.
the views of Shar Sedge are not necessarily the views of Gregheim's Crossing the Line, and specifically Gregheim, who is saying clear on camera, we welcome guests here.
All right.
And now you're in a lot of
I will
trouble.
let her know.
You need a lawyer.
I will.
So
Don't worry, she's not watching.
Exactly. I was going to say, if you're listening, you're welcome to come. Let's see what happens.
but you know what
Right.
you know what old softy I mean, you're walking with your kid. I'm walking through the park Saturday. It's a beautiful day. Strollers everywhere. And it made me like tear up. Like my son is like 6'1" now, so I can't.
So
He'll put me in a stroller soon because I'm shrinking.
I thought about that. I spent 5 hours in 2 different parks on Saturday.
There's nothing better.
Went
There's
from
nothing
10
better.
to noon, and then we went from like 3:30 to 6. Like I was late for dinner. We were out for a long time, and I'm not gonna lie, I was already busy. Like my son shoots at 10-foot hoops for an hour and a half. There's a little mini ball.
Wow.
Barely goes over his head. I watched maybe 400 air balls, and each time, wow, that was great. Wow, that was great. So,
how tall?
And I remember
How tall is
he's
he?
2.5. He's 2 years old.
And he's shooting a 10-feet basket.
He's shooting like he doesn't realize that what's happening.
The ball's almost as
but
big
he
as
had the
him.
best time, and I remember hearing somebody say, "Don't blink.
Don't blink.
Don't blink. Don't blink."
We were at a restaurant on Saturday night that we used to go to all the time, and Greg was like, "Oh, don't go as often." And we saw a waitress we have not seen in years, who now has 3 kids. And in the 6 years since we saw her, she's got like a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and like a 3-month-old. Like
Amazing.
bang, bang, bang. And she's like, "How's Gregory doing?" And it's like, "Oh, he's at college." He's at college? It's like he was this big, eating like sliders and stuff. And now my son's like 6'1" and can bench press like this office building. He's got so big.
When your son is in the NCAA tournament and he's being interviewed, he can just say, since I was 2 years old, I was out there in the park with my father.
My father told me
rebounded for me.
everything.
It was like
Right.
500 shots. And
Like that Jalen Brunson video where his dad
Exactly.
is encouraging him. Exactly. I tell people I don't even need him to be in the NBA. I just need that NIL money right now.
The NIL is big.
I need the NIL money.
Go to St. John's. Our guy's got plenty of it. The vitamin water guy's got billions.
If my kid goes there, you're donating to the school.
No. But anyhow, well, if we win a national championship, it's funny because you get in the Sweet 16, and we haven't done that in 27 years. It's been a while. And then you're like, okay, now what happens if we make the Final Four? I'm going to lose my mind. Like
I was just thinking, the next episode is the 100th episode. If St. John's wins 2 more games, they'll be in the Final Four.
Is it Friday and Sunday they're playing next week?
By the next,
Yeah.
So by the next
God.
episode,
we're going to see a depressed Greg on the 100th episode if they lose.
Well, if they lose at Duke, I'm not.
They've already overachieved.
Okay.
I'm not going to go along with that just yet because if they've won 21 out of their last 22 games, they steamrolled their way through the Big East tournament, destroyed UConn in the finals, played a
So
tough
you think
Kansas
they weren't
team.
properly seeded?
Yeah, you weren't.
Oh,
last
and
week.
everybody
He was
knows
very-
that. Yeah,
very
last week
upset
I
about
went
that.
on a huge rant. I mean, when you look at the records, Kansas, now they talk about the out-of-conference schedule. St. John's had a lot of out-of-conference games early in the season against ranked teams with 4 new starters. It was good and bad. I mean, it's bad because it killed their ranking. When the season started, they were the number 5th ranked team in college basketball. They then dropped out of the top 25 for a while and then have been in ever since. But tell me how a team that's now currently, I think, ranked 13th, a 5 seed, right, and who won their conference tournament.
Beat UConn, who's a 2 seed.
Right. And UConn gets a 2 after
But as a 5
them.
seed, they're now the darling of the tournament.
It could be.
Well, and
No pun
the
intended.
poetic justice would be to
At
beat Duke on Friday and then get UConn on Sunday and beat them again.
That would be incredible.
If your goal is to win a national championship, you have to beat a team like Duke anyway. What's the difference if you do it now or the Final
Well,
Four?
they get more money.
If you're only
per round.
looking,
So-
if you're only looking to make it far into the tournament, then I get it. You want an easy game, but you're going to have to win games. And Florida lost yesterday on a crazy shot also.
And a bad They
defense.
should have been watching the St. John's game. The point guard would have known what to do instead of doing the Dylan Darling just offhand. Remember, he's lefty, and it was his offhand. Their point guard kind of went under the basket and tried to feed someone underneath.
Yeah.
You can't be doing. You got to hear that in your head, and I'm sure his heart's beating like. But it's funny because you don't see the Hail Mary passes. I mean, there's a couple of seconds you don't need to do it, but why not? They're expecting you to give it to the point guard. He's going to waste 2-3 seconds getting down the court.
Right.
So that's because we're college basketball experts, aren't we?
That's why people tune in every week.
So now I can pay attention to the Knicks for the rest of this week. I get a breather. I don't have to stress.
Knicks quietly on like an 8-game winning streak or 6-game winning streak, creeping up to that number 2 seed.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, now they got some tough games coming up. Boston, Toronto.
The Bulls coming up.
It's not going to be so easy. And what would make it easier? Shar's tickets. Anyhow,
Yeah,
that's.
we're going to go in order of niceness in the room. So
Oh, I never said I was nice. And let me close this episode by just saying a happy anniversary to my lovely wife, Joanne, 28 years. And she tells me I'm still happy. So that's good.
to the most patient woman in the world.
I don't know if she's the most patient, but she's the one thing I can say about my wife, and I say this to everybody, she's the nicest person I've ever met in my life.
That's great.
Oh.
She only dislikes me. Everybody else it will say the same thing. I know, this is why I can never get divorced, because everybody except my mother will take her side.
They all like her
Everybody.
better.
My mother, it's the Sicilian thing. She's going to side with me. But Lena knows about this. And Italian mothers and their sons.
Are you the firstborn son? Because I feel
No,
like
I'm the
that's- oh,
third.
you're the third.
Third born son. But Joanne is just a very nice person and is
Why don't you say
patient.
another nice thing about her? 28 years. Pick a second. You said that there's only one thing.
I could
Pick
say
a-
many nice things
pick
about
two.
her. Number 2, she's gotten better looking with age. She
That's a great compliment.
really looks great. Where I'm falling apart. But what says love better than having your hips replaced, the same hip by the same doctor a couple of months apart? That's how perfectly we're suited.
All right,
for each
someone
other.
needs to send her this episode, but you got to send it to her like very discreetly. Like, like if you have like your spouse on speakerphone and it's like you don't think she can listen to you, but she can hear you, and then you say something really nice.
compliment her.
You need to send it. You need to send that to her.
No,
so
I'll
she
just
can
show.
hear it.
I'll say, look what I said about
Please
you.
fast forward to 43 minutes and 48 seconds.
It's funny. So the restaurant we were in last night, there's one of the managers there who's young enough to be my son is like, could you and Joanne adopt me? You seem like the nicest people. I'm like, but you have parents. And he's like, yeah, but you're cooler parents. And I'm like,
Child services.
Who's helping you? Who's helping you with like the flowers, the card?
So Morgan's been yelling at me.
You need to get flowers.
See, Lisa knows me long enough to know that we don't do stuff like that. But Morgan's like, you can't out of anything. But if you...
Not even a card?
It's like that. No, we get a card. We go out to dinner. But it's like that episode of Landman when he does something nice for Angela and she's like, what'd you do? Yes. Like, that's Joanne. She'd be like, what'd you do? Why flowers? You know, are you leaving me? Like, is this a distraction?
That's why it would land even better. What a curveball if you send some flowers.
I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to give it away on the show because she's not watching it. She's out spending Char's money with Char's wife probably on adorable baby clothes.
Don't mix me in with this whole. No, my wife is wonderful.
But my wife is wonderful, and I'm very lucky. And she is the nicest person.
Congratulations. 28 years is a long time.
And still gorgeous after all these years. You know,
wow. There you go.
We originally met in high school. I sat behind her in homeroom because her maiden name was Hewitt. So 3 years of high school, never spoke to her. It took me getting a job where she was working to start dating her. So
right. We talked about this. You were in the yearbook right next to each other, right?
Our pictures are alphabetically. We are. Yeah. Yes, well, maybe we'll put that overlay in the video right now. Yes. I've outkicked my coverage, as they like to say. I tried to explain that to my wife what that means. But anyhow, that's enough.
Good
Happy anniversary, Joanne. And anybody celebrating an anniversary, it's hard to believe it's 28 years. It really is. I can remember my wedding like yesterday, though, because of all the things that went wrong. Except the weather. The weather was beautiful on our wedding day. But thanks to Char, thanks to Scott, thanks to Lena, thanks to Ray. And please tune in for the 100th episode extravaganza. Well, we'll see who passes out first from excessive scotch drinking. That doesn't violate any podcast rules, right, Ray? We can drink as much scotch as we want? Okay, that sounds perfect.
A drinking game where everyone... Anytime someone says inflation, we have to...
And every time someone says no higher, no fire.
Right.
Every time Greg makes a joke about Scott's hair. Or lawyers. And it's great that we filmed these on Monday morning. Anyhow, have a great week, everybody, and go St. John's.
What do you really need to know about buying or selling a home? First, it's serious business. And it's complicated. There's a lot of money on the table, and emotion, too. You need an agent who knows the ropes. So, whether you're buying or selling your home, work with professionals who have a mastery of the craft.